Hello, I am Alphonso McGriff III, and this is Alphonso Speaks. This is a platform I use to talk about the conscious conversation experience. And of course, the conscious conversation experience is a collaboration and movement that chooses love and enlightenment. A collaboration and movement that chooses love and enlightenment. And before I finish sharing what a conscious conversation is, I just want to remind you that last Friday, I um, I did share that wonderful poem for you that I know words at the the 35th anniversary of the Greater Hartford Festival of Jazz. And for those of you who missed it, I just decided about 2 seconds ago to share it with you tonight. So this is a a poem that I wrote as a tribute to Black women. And yeah, I just now decided about 10 seconds ago to share it tonight. So before I continue on with the information as I normally do, I'll share the poem with you as well. So this poem is called For You That I Know Words. It is a tribute to Black women. Growing up and seeing my grandmothers and aunts and mothers and sisters and seeing Black women in general deal with so many challenges and make ways out of no way. One day I just felt like I need to write something. And the poem is kind of long, I have to admit, because every time I thought I was finished, I wanted to say something else. So um, tonight I'll share the poem For You. There are no words. I see you, this beautiful Black female work of art, and with all my heart, I want to free you from all of the mental anguish and pain of watching we be these little boys as we play with our little toys. Guns, cars, clothes, money, jewelry, and the rest of our worthless boy joys. You watch and you wait while it's our own people we continue to destroy and hate. But in order to free you, I must see you with more than just my eyes, but with my mind. And I must be kind with more than just my words, but with my actions. And I must become that African man with more than just perseverance and inner searching, but with the help of the Creator, the same one that made you. I know I can. I must earn your trust because your history has determined that you have earned the right to be free. And it is my responsibility to evolve to manhood and see that you live with peace, harmony, and prosperity. I feel you more than I ever thought I could because there was a time I never thought I would. It is not a physical thing, but a spiritual feeling that comes with listening to my consciousness, and the stress becomes less and less. And because this is just a quest, I repeat, because this is just a quest to quell the unruly seed that fuels the unruly need for greed, I cannot rest until I relieve myself from this mess. And my mental fights with wrong become mental rights, and before long, my mental lights come on, and I finally begin to see it is only you, this beautiful Black queen, who can truly make me happy. I smell you. I smell you and think of all that is good as the aroma stopped me right where I stood, and I began to wish that I could and should be the best man that I can. At the wedding, at the park, when it's dark, in the light, as long as I'm in anyone's sight, I just smell you, and to your delight, I want to do all that is right all day and all night, and there will be no fights because you'll have the green light and I will follow, and wish that you'll still call me after last night. I hope it's today because I'll be crazy by tomorrow because when I smell you, I feel so good. I worship you because I know without you there would be no we. From before slavery to after BET, there would be no blues, bojangles, or tap shoes, no jazz or hip hop, no rap, Missy, P. Diddy, or Biggie, no rock and roll, James Brown, reggae, soca, Tupac, or soul, no R&B, MTV, or Muhammad Ali, no soccer, tennis, or basketball shorts, because there would be no sports, no Malcolm, Martin, and Marcus, and there would be no history or ancestors for us, no Rosa, Harriet, or Fanny. Black man, what is it going to take for us to see that this beautiful black woman in our midst is responsible for everything that is, has been, and will ever be? Because here on earth, the true representation of the Creator, it is she. When I hold you, there's a feeling of numbness, followed by warmth, passion, and then dumbness. Because I know I have become less than my ancestors' definition of a true African man. One who makes a stand and takes control of himself, embraces Africa and puts that European his story on the shelf, builds a family on a foundation of morals, values, and principles that are never compromised. He pays no attention to those who ridicule and criticize, forever strives to become more conscious and wise. He instructs young kings and queens that with knowledge of self, precious goals and dreams can be realized. He defines his own wants, needs, and desires, creates his own businesses and is his family, including those who look like and support him. He hires, yes, a true African man passes the test, the knowledge and all his best down to the next generation, so that once he retires, the family's quality of life continues to rise higher and higher and higher, and so on and so on and so on. And so as I attempt to put into practice what has been said, I repeat this knowledge over and over again in my head, so that when again I hold you, I feel complete. I will protect you until the death, until long after I take my final breath. And yes, this implies until there are no more compromises, blue skies, sunrises, or surprises, no birds, bees, or trees. Until the lies, the lust, and limelight, and the lawsuit loot is gone, until there are no more sad songs, and loving you is right and not wrong. Until all oceans and seas become sand and dry land and just remnants of what was once man. Until the idea of hot and cold become ancient stories only told by those more than 10,000 years old. Until it takes more than putting a hole in my tongue, private parts of face to be bold, until the final race, the final chase, and the last lawyer's last case. Until all ghettos become boardwalk and park place, and all wicked and evil people disappear without a trace. Until the last supper, revelations, and the resurrection. I, from now until, will be your protection. And finally, I just want to get to know you, get to show you how much I owe you the right to relax when I come your way, and not have to turn to your girlfriends and say, here comes another sorry brother ready to wreck my day. I want you to feel like flowers greeting the sun, or when the mortgage payments are done, like the smell of fresh hot buttered popcorn, or when that first child is born. I want you to toot my horn, to see me as a breath of fresh air. Make all your friends stop and stare in our direction, because our connection is the right one. Our relationship is a tight one. I am yours, and yes, you are my one and only. And even when I am not there, you are never lonely. Even when I am not there, you're never lonely, because your thoughts of me take you to ecstasy. Until again, I am there for you to see, pleased, pleased with my presence, to the extent that I too am pleased to be present. And mutual feelings are so intense, it makes no sense to be this confident. Because I just want to see what you want me to be. And if it makes us both happy and you finally trust me and I am worthy, I don't know, we'll see. But maybe, just maybe, you'll have me. And that is the tribute to Black women. For you, there are no words. And I figured that I did do it Friday in front of a pretty big crowd of people. And as I have said in the past, my plan is to speak to hundreds and thousands of people and share good information that people can use And so I hope that our sisters can appreciate that poetic tribute to coming from me. So tonight, I want to remind you again that the 35th anniversary of the Greater Hartford Jazz Festival of Jazz was awesome. It rained a little on Saturday, but Friday and Sunday were just perfect days, and it just was a beautiful experience. And for me, on Friday, it was a beautiful experience. Something that I never forget, but I call it the beginning because it is my plan to stand before hundreds and thousands of people sharing good information that I believe uh, can make a difference in folks' lives if they choose to receive it, because it has made a difference in mine. And the only thing I share is my own personal experience, my own personal experiences, and what makes sense to me. That's what I share. I don't claim to be a therapist or psychologist or psych and any of that stuff. I don't claim to be a social worker or counselor. I just claim to be a person who has had personal experiences that make sense to me and I choose to share. And people can take it or they can leave it alone. It's beautiful either way. Because the late great Isaac Hayes once said, "Whatever you do, you got to do your thing." So that's what I believe. People got to do their own thing, man. You can't force nobody to do nothing. So anyway, um, also, my man, he's a good friend of mine, and he's into politics. I have to admit, I'm not into politics at all, from the standpoint of voting and all of that stuff. And anybody who ever wanted to understand why I'm not, all they have to do is ask me, and I can explain it to them. But I don't engage in the voting process, and I don't participate on the political scene. But there's a gentleman who is engaged in politics, and brother Kyle Anderson. He's a good guy, a really good guy. I've been knowing him for years and years, and he's running for state representative. I guess it's what he calls fighting for the fifth. And so, if you are a person who votes, then if you really are interested in a decent guy, he's a good guy as far as I'm concerned. Maybe you want to look into supporting him, my man Kyle Anderson. Now, I'm gonna tell you this is how missing. We all have our ignorant spots and places, and again, politics for me, I am ignorant in that area, and so I don't know who he's running against. Now he could be running against somebody that I know that's another cool person. And so I have to admit that if I knew who that person was and they were somebody that I thought was cool, I'd probably say, hey, this person is pretty cool as well. So I'm just saying, I'm just being honest that I think, Carl in general is a great person. And I believe if that's what he's doing, he's engaging in the political scene, and he believes he can do good and help people. I think he will, because he's always done things to try to help people. Now, I want to remind you that the Taste of the Caribbean Arts and Culture Connecticut Inc. presents the Hartford, Connecticut's Taste of the Caribbean Jerk Festival on Saturday, August 1st at the Riverfront. So you might want to go check out the Riverfront on Saturday, August 1st, and hang out and have a great time. A lot of food, live music, beautiful people, and don't forget to support it and go down there and hang out. I'll be there working and supporting the Jerry Festival. So if you get a chance, you have some time, check out the Jerry Festival. I'm also saying that if anybody is interested um, in having me come and speak, sit down and have some conversations and we could talk. Um, I'm open for it. It could be group or individuals. It's okay either way. Anyone interested in having a conscious conversation about anything, because the conscious conversation is really about the foundation is about us trying to understand each other. That's where it's really at. Okay. It's about us trying to understand each other. And if we want to have a good conversation, the foundation of that should be understanding. So I'm open. If you have some young people, a group of young people, you want to have a conscious conversation, that's fine. If you have a group of adults and you want to have a conscious conversation, that's fine too. When I was at the Jazz Festival, I had quite a few conscious conversations with people as I was passing out flyers and talking. And one of the interesting conscious conversations I had was about emotions. You know, somebody asked me, aren't emotions natural? Like a natural part of being human? And I said, well, absolutely. I said also, and I asked the question, is self-respect a natural part of being human? And we agreed that self-respect was also a natural part of being human. And we also agreed that we came to a general conclusion that self-respect is very important. And so when we have self-respect, we don't just give people control over us and then just take actions based on emotional reactions. When we have self-respect, we don't hand our heart rate and blood pressure and breathing rate and even how our organs work, just hand all of that over to somebody else because we believe we're an emotional people. We don't give people control over us if we have self-respect. So I understand emotions, but I also understand good decisions. Like I said not too long ago, you can have God, you can have Jesus, you can have Muhammad, you can have Moses, you can have affirmations, you can have crystals, you can have incense, you can have meditation, you can have all of these things. But if you don't have the ability to make good decisions, nobody's going to help you. None of those things are going to help you. There's no temple you can walk in that's going to be so sacred that when you come out, you're going to be all set. There's no temple that can help me. There's no God that can help me. There's no incense. There's no crystals. There's no, what is it called? Torah cards. There's nothing. There's no body can help me if I don't improve my decision making. That is just a fact of life. You can go get some readings, and the readings would be wonderful. But if you get a reading and you keep making bad decisions, then the reading's not going to help you. I know they won't help me. So our decision making is what it's really about. And we can't continue to make, or I refuse to continue to make the horrible decision of operating based on emotional reactions after giving someone full control over my physiological reality. decision making is important. So just for in any case, anyone just chimed in uh, after I finish this recording, you can go back to the beginning, and I shared the poem For You That I Know Words, which is a tribute to Black women. I shared that poem in the beginning if you want to check it out. So I just wanted to put that on the table. So we had a good discussion about decision making and self-respect, even with the fact that we do have emotions. Decision making and self-respect count too. So I don't want us to lose track of that. So I'm open to having conscious conversation with individuals and groups. And at this point, I'm not asking for anything. You know, if you have some water, some bottled water, and maybe some watermelon or something, I'm good. So the conscious conversation experience is a collaboration and movement that chooses love and enlightenment. We talk about resolution during the conscious conversation, which is the successful solving of a problem. I am here to help myself and people around the world transform conflict into conscious conversation that leads to understanding, resolution, and enlightenment. What is a conscious conversation? A conscious conversation is a verbal interaction where we speak with the desire to understand. We ask questions and share information. We take responsibility for our thoughts, words, and actions and control our prejudices and emotions, which, if left unchecked, will disrupt the goal of having a conscious conversation. The strength of a conscious conversation is its ability to inspire rather than manipulate. Ultimately, the conscious conversation experience is a pathway to understanding, resolution, and enlightenment. The strength of a conscious conversation is its ability to inspire rather than manipulate. So, one of the reasons why I say that is because inspire evokes or leads us to understanding, leads us to being inspired. Being inspired leads us to understanding. When we're dealing with manipulation, the goal is to just get you to do what they want. It doesn't matter whether you understand or not. So when manipulation is involved, there's a lot of pushing of guilt, shame, blame, and fear. Guilt, shame, blame, and fear. When those things are involved, then there's an attempt to manipulate rather than help people understand. At the root of all conscious conversations is understanding. If there is no desire to understand, there can be no conscious conversation. Period. So I've learned that developing myself can lead to unnecessary challenges with insecure people who are intimidated by those who have a sense of self. It is not our problem, but it is one of the consequences of our personal growth. Challenges and consequences of personal growth and sense of self is that we have to deal with insecure people. Now, when you get a sense of these insecure people, don't just plain ignore it. I always make myself aware because insecure people, they don't even have any idea how far they'll go in order to disrupt your rhythm and your frequency. So when you discover somebody who is insecure, it's important to be aware and not be naive because they have no idea how far they'll go to disrupt your circle. I just want to put that out there because that's just a part of personal growth as well, dealing with insecure people. For tonight's thoughts that I'm willing to have a conscious conversation about, freedom. Freedom. Freedom starts and ends with our state of consciousness, in spite of any man who may think he has power. It doesn't matter what title people have at the you can be the CEO of the biggest company on the planet. or you can be the most popular entertainer in the world. It doesn't mean you're free. Freedom starts and ends with the state of consciousness. And so for me, having a sense of freedom or being able to, live as an expression of freedom means we have to be willing to make adjustments. Because sometimes there are things that happen around us that we have no control over. And then it boils down to the quality of the decisions we make that come from our consciousness to determine the quality of our lives. Now, I am one who believes that freedom begins with our state of consciousness, because if I can if I can focus on a couple of important things. Number one is now, right now. Hang out more in the now than in the past and in the future. Because right now is the only thing that's real. Right now is the only thing that's real. And that's where we need to be focused on more than anything else. And being able to adjust. We have to know what we want and why we want it. So we have to be able to adjust. We have to understand how the reality that we're in works. This is really important as it relates to freedom. We have to understand how the reality works. We have to decide what we want from the reality. And then we have to figure out how to make the reality serve our best interests. And that is the foundation for freedom. Understand the reality that we're in and how it works to the best of our ability, decide what we want from that reality, and then figure out how to make that reality serve our best interests. And we can be in some of the toughest circumstances and still make those decisions to and some situations I'm not so idealistic that I just think we should supposed to be able to do certain things and that's it. I'm just saying that's just the foundation. And at some point, we have to work our way to getting to that foundation if we want to have a certain quality of life and if we want to begin moving from a freedom standpoint. One of the things that I say is we also can't be living in fear, living in fear of what another person is going to take from us, living in fear of death. It's an inevitable ending for all of us. But this fear thing, we have to get some control over that. Because most of the time when we're living in fear, then that means we're worried about something that hasn't even happened. We're worried about something that hasn't happened. And it's just such a waste of life. So, and we put ourselves in a position for people to take advantage of us. So we can't be running around here being afraid of people. And I don't mean not be afraid of dangerous people or anything like that. I'm just talking about people who are in positions of power, who can, with the stroke of a pen or the whisper of a word, F your whole life up financially and and have an adverse effect on how you're able to move and not move. We can't live in fear of that stuff. We have to be prepared to make the adjustment so that no matter what happens, we have to make things and make this reality work for us to the best of our ability. So freedom starts and ends with with our state of consciousness, with our mindset, not with anybody else, but with our mindset. I still hear people say we still slaves today and those kind of things. Um, and this might not sound right, but I don't think we've ever been enslaved. And I'll say this, I'll try to explain myself. When you make a decision to do something, um, when you make a decision to do something and you have your reason why you're doing it, or, well, let me just say, when I make a decision to do something and I have my reason why I'm doing it, then I'm not identifying myself as enslaved. And sometimes we have to make very tough decisions. But at the end of the day, if I made the decision, then I am not enslaved. I made a decision that's just simply going to serve my best interest. And I think a lot of our ancestors made decisions based on the circumstances that they felt were going to serve their best interest. And those were some very tough circumstances. But they still had to make a decision. They had to make a decision. Do I remain in this condition? Or do I do something to not remain in this condition? And some of us chose to do some things to not remain in that condition. And some of us chose to do some things to continue remaining in that condition. And according to me, this is not necessarily the truth, but according to me, there is a certain degree of freedom in decision making because you're doing what is in your best interest based on the reality that you find yourself in, based on what you want, and based on being able to make that reality serve your best interest. And some of us chose to remain enslaved rather than fight and die because we were looking down the road. We wanted descendants. Some of us wanted people to tell our story. Some of us felt if I remain in this condition, one day if I'm free, I can go find my people and my family. But we made a decision. Some would say, well, we didn't make a decision to get kidnapped. Those of us who were taken from Africa. And I would say, that's true. It's just like in America in general, people don't make decisions to get murdered. But it's a part of this societal reality. And sometimes things happen that's just not sexy at all. So as long as we're living among humans, we're always potentially susceptible to what humans are capable of. And then we have to make some decisions. And for me, based on the way I look at it, understanding what freedom is connected to our decision making. You'll never hear me say my ancestors were slaves. They were never slaves. They were people, human beings, who were in a, if you want to say anything, who were so called enslaved. But once that happened, once that happened, there's some decisions that had to be made. Do I remain enslaved? And do I have reasons for remaining enslaved? Or do I fight to the death? And then I have some reasons for fighting to the death. But ultimately, there was some decisions being made. So we can't underestimate how important decisions are as it relates to our freedom and what it means to be free. There's no place you can go on this planet where you just can walk around willy-nilly doing anything you want. You can't even go into a forest or a jungle and just walk walk around willy-nilly doing anything you want. That understanding of freedom is delusional. There's no place you can go on this planet and just do whatever you want. You can't run around in Antarctica saying, well, I don't like wearing clothes and I don't want to wear clothes. You can run out there and decide not to wear clothes, but you won't be running around out there for too long. So I'm saying no matter what conditions we find ourselves in, there are some restrictions. We can't run around anywhere willy-nilly doing whatever we want. So again, when I think about the idea of freedom, I'm thinking about decision making and the reasons why we make decisions. That's why it's so important not to make reactionary emotional decisions, because that just makes things worse for us most of the time. So that's the thought I'm willing to have a conscious conversation about. And in what ways do I make decisions that hurt me? That's a question I ask every time I come on the air. In what ways do I make decisions that hurt me? So the answer to that is a question. Do my answers to understanding anything, including life, come from someone other than myself? Do my answers to understanding anything, including life, come from someone other than me? And the answer to that is technically is not possible. It's not possible for my answers to come from anybody else. So on the technical side, my answers always come from me, because wherever, whatever the thoughts are, they have to go through me, and then I have to believe, I have to process those thoughts and come to a conclusion that I think makes sense to me. Whether it makes sense or not, the bottom line is if it makes sense to me, that's where the answer comes from. Now, another look at that question is, do I just let other people tell me what's best for me? And I don't think that's ever a good thing, when somebody else is dictating what's best for me. That's something I have to do for myself. So I think that allowing others to tell me what is best for me is a decision that I'm making that hurts me. I don't believe it's good for me to just allow other people to tell me what's best for me. So that was my thought about in what ways do I make decisions that hurt me. I want to say that again, at the beginning of this segment, I did share the poem For You There Are No Words. And I would like you to share this video if if you think what I'm saying is worthy of sharing it with other people. But especially for the poem that's a tribute to Black women that I shared at the beginning of this recording, I would like for you to share this video. You can be doing anything right now in this very moment, and you chose to give me some time in your life. I do not take it for granted. I love you all, and I always will. And I will never give up on our people, ever. Have a good night.